going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad that we are back. How are y'all feeling this week, guys?
Doing good.
I feel amazing.
It's a day.
It's a day.
It's been good. It's been
what's
good.
made
Stuff's
today
been good.
such a day?
I had
rotation of the earth.
so much coffee today. Like when I wasn't drinking water, I was drinking coffee today, and I've not done that in a long time. Like I don't know why I did that. It was not a conscious choice. It was just the coffee, man.
How many Starbucks ventis would you say it would equal out to?
Close to 2.
Okay.
Like,
Dude,
not
It's
an
like 2
ungodly
big
amount of
coffees,
coffee.
but in small doses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I did the reverse. I haven't had any coffee today in a long time, and it's just I don't know. I feel normal, but it's the opposite. That's all I apparently have to say about that.
Did you drink any bean water today, Beans?
No bean water, but I did drink a whole bunch of soda. So pretty.
Hey, I did too. I was a little
pretty
Baja
excited about that.
blasting.
Very nice.
Yeah, they sell it by the bottle now. That's big news.
Well, this is not my. I have another question to get moving on things, but I do have one quick question.
Jason, can you turn yourself up?
Can you hear it now? Is that better?
Yeah.
So this isn't our starting question. I have another one for that, but
Oh,
I do
okay.
have one quick question from a reel I saw earlier today. It has to do with coffee, since we're on that. If I were to make you a coffee, and I were to put soy milk in it, and then also add vanilla, would that be considered a 3-bean soup?
Yes. I've seen this. I am in full support.
Is soy milk really milk though?
But it's made of beans. That's the bigger question. It's the 3-bean soup, less the milk.
I think as the resident bean expert here,
As we know.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree just out of because it feels bad.
What? How does it feel bad? How does it?
Because
Is it not soup
it's
enough
hard
for
to
you?
it's kind of Kafka-esque, I think. It's like sort of uncanny, like you can't quite tell why it's wrong, but it's wrong.
Are you
And that's
kidding
the
me?
definitive
That's
answer.
crazy. Are you insane? Who raised
Incredible.
you? What the heck? It's 3-bean soup. I don't care who you are. It's 3-bean soup.
Look, if you want to duel about this, I'm ready. Okay.
If you want to take this
that's how
inside.
Alexander Hamilton
Beans.
went down.
Man,
Beans, my left armpit. You know nothing.
this just got revolutionary.
Well,
I just put a hit out on you. You have a sniper trained on your forehead.
I think this leads to a good real question. This is our real opener. I know that was so heated, but
Real,
I was-
like it's in reality, or real like you watched
I
it
need to
earlier.
take a walk. Man.
Both-
I am
both
worked
and.
up.
Nonetheless, I was drinking some Baja Blast earlier. Shout out to Mountain Dew, sponsor us.
Taco Bell.
No, they don't.
And
Sponsor us, please.
I have a question. Of all the Mountain Dew flavors, which one is your least favorite? Not your favorite. I don't want to know that. Don't tell me that. If you say it, I'm cutting it from the video. But what is your least favorite Mountain Dew flavor? I have a quick one, unless one of y'all has a quick one to go before me.
Major melon.
You go.
What? Wait, what?
Major melon.
Major melon.
Yeah,
think
if
I've
I had
ever
to
had
pick one,
Major
it would be
Melon.
Major Melon.
That's
If Major
the
Melon
pink
didn't
one, right?
exist,
It's one of the pink ones.
yeah.
It's supposed to taste like watermelon.
It's bad.
How
If
about
it
you,
wasn't Major
Beans?
Melon, it would be Code Red, and I know that's ludicrous, but
Oh, mine's ludicrous. You're not going to be happy with it.
Ludacris was on that Justin Bieber song, right?
Was he on that diss track, that new Drake diss track?
I don't think so.
No, he wasn't. He was not.
But he is in that new Allstate commercial.
He is.
He is.
That is a
that's
good commercial.
right.
Beans, you got one for us?
I haven't tried a whole lot of. I've tried the whiteout voltage and Code Red, and I have fond memories of all of those.
Okay.
But I think of the ones that I've tried, I'm going to say maybe classic flavor. It's my least favorite.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Them's
Kick
fighting
him off
beans
the
right
pod.
there.
Kick
That's
him off the
crazy.
pod.
Yeah.
It's so iconic.
Yeah.
Wait, Jason, can I guess your least
yeah.
favorite?
You can. Feel free
Is it
to.
Livewire?
No, I don't. Livewire's middle of the road for me.
Okay.
Mine is Voltage.
No
Oh.
way.
Not a
That
big
one
Voltage
tastes like
fan.
cotton candy.
That's kind of why I don't like it.
Huh.
I
why it's
feel
good.
like if a Mountain Dew flavor actually tastes like something I know, it's wrong. Like it's not supposed. There's nothing natural.
It's supposed to taste
Obviously,
like pure chemicals.
Exactly. Cotton candy doesn't taste natural per se, but like, what is the flavor of Baja Blast? There's
That's
nothing
fair.
but
That's
chemical. Same thing with Code Red. Code Red
Yeah.
isn't like any specific berry.
Yeah.
Like it probably
Red
is
berry.
supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. but Voltage, it seems familiar enough that it shouldn't be. It was like when they had the Bojangles one, and that one was just. I don't know what the flavor was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be fruit punch, but who's to say?
yeah.
Just get my appetite up.
I was gonna say it's really bringing me up for an appetite, but not as any appetite. Appetite for destruction, if you know what I
Roll
mean.
credits.
That's what
Roll
soda does
credits.
eventually.
We are on another week of this podcast, and I know that's why you joined. It was for the Mountain Dew conversation, not for this. But we're going to talk about the album with 22.8 million certified and 30 million claimed sales of this album. Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. In there. So I think before we get into this, I think we have something new that some would even call a slush puppy voicemail. Can we get this slush puppy voicemail?
Yeah, let's get it. This is
Let me add some things to your last podcast, Born in the USA. You all have to remember that the 70s and early 80s, there was chaos going on in this country. You had Vietnam, you had Watergate, a president resigned, the Carter administration, and the Iran hostage situation. And then President Reagan starts turning things around. Right in the middle of the 80s, you get this album from a Jersey guy. Basically, if you listen to that album, it's basically talking about his life, or maybe some lives of friends of his. In 85, after touring the world on the Born in the USA tour, he does a stadium series, and he comes to RFK Stadium, where my mom's family is having a family reunion. And one of my uncles has an extra ticket for this concert, and I wanted to go, and I got to go. We were there for 3.5 hours at RFK Stadium in D.C. What a night. What a band. What an artist. It was a night I will never forget. On the way home, we see two limousines. One of them had the window down. The drummer, the backup singer, his wife, I think of now, and another gentleman was in there. And yes, we were singing in the vehicle we were in. Sunroof was back, the windows were down, and we're singing as loud as we can to Born in the USA. And yes, I looked over at the drummer and I pointed at him and said, yeah, you all rock tonight. And they did. And you just got to remember, when you're dealing with Bruce Springsteen, he only speaks about America, what he's lived, what he's seen other people live. And that's what makes him so great. And that's what makes this album one of his top albums of all time. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
What can I say but a true American right there? That was Slush Puppy, which if you don't know, that is the father of Jared Slusher. And we heard a little bit of that story that the Slush gave for us last week. But nonetheless, we'll open up to any comments on this. But I think, one, reminder, you can give us a voicemail. You can hit us up. I don't know how you do that. Somebody on here probably does. But you can hit us up. You can get on the pod somehow.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It won't be because of me, but but nonetheless, I think that's so neat that we can see why it was so great. Like we were talking, I know that Beans Jr. over here, he was bringing up all kinds of things about the way in which like it wasn't super pro America, but even in it, it wasn't anti America at the same time.
Yeah.
And so as they're going through all the things that Slush Puppy Senior over here was letting us know about, like people were still rocking to be American, even though it may not be happy go lucky, it may not be like a joyous thing. There's still something to sing about.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Nixon because I know the whole Watergate thing. That was sort of an early example of when people started to really like lose faith in like politicians and just sort of the government and the country in general. So this album, when it comes out and it's patriotic, but it's still like acknowledging the bad stuff. That's probably going to be really, really powerful.
Yeah. And I'd say if you're a listener and you're around this time, I mean, obviously, if you follow us, you know that we were not children of the 80s, barely children of the 90s. So if you've got a life experience with any of the albums that we talk about, if you're related to us, you know where to find us. But if you want to, let us know what you think about this life or when this album came out or anything like that, feel free to contact us in any way you see fit. And we actually talk a little bit about that in the outro. So just stick around.
Ooh.
And if you want to tell us how wrong we are about our takes, you know what to do.
Too.
But I think this leads into a good spot for this album, which came out in July of 1987. A little bit. I think it was a little later. When was the Born in the
84?
84. So we're 3 years later. But I'll let Jarrett get into it. What's our background for Appetite for Destruction?
Yeah, man. So Appetite for Destruction came out July 24th, 1987, tail end of the middle of the summer. 1987, we've got W. Axl Rose on lead vocals, Saul Hudson, better known as Slash, on lead guitar, Izzy Stradlin on rhythm guitar, Duff McKagan on bass, and Steven Adler on drums. Producer for this album was Mike Klink, and according to Wikipedia, this is the third album that he ever worked on. And so
That's incredible.
That's pretty crazy. He worked on another album that was a little less, that was more low key, and the guys really liked it, and they wanted him on this one. They worked with other producers while they were kind of getting their sound together and trying to put out a first recording. But typical of the 80s rock fashion, a lot of those producers wanted to overproduce and really polish up the sound of the record, and they just wanted something that was a little more raw, so they went with Mike. And this was recorded over a few months, January to June 1987. And essentially, Guns N' Roses formed 1985 from a merging of two local Los Angeles bands. We got LA Guns and Hollywood Rose. LA Guns was led by Tracy Guns, who was the original lead guitarist for Guns N' Roses, and then Hollywood Rose was led by Axl Rose. And so, combination of those two bands, obviously, Tracy Guns did not last long in the band and was replaced by Slash. And then they recorded this album that we're going to talk about now.
That's incredible. Let's get right into this album. Let's make it happen. Daniel, can you give us our track listing, starting with the G side?
Starting with the G side, we've got Welcome to the Jungle, a single. It's So Easy, a single. Night Train, a single. Out to Get Me, Mr. Brownstone, a single. And Paradise City, a single. On the R side, My Michelle, Thinking About You, Sweet Child of Mine, a single. You're Crazy, Anything Goes, and Rocket Queen.
I love that instead of A and B, it's G and R.
Yeah.
Oh, because like Guns N' Roses. Yeah. I see what they did there.
Yeah.
I see what they did there.
Clever.
Clever. So with all of this, with all of these singles, a single, I think there's so many songs on here that are recognizable. So
Yeah.
we may not think about the lyrics and the themes of the whole album because of how iconic the individual songs are. So let's dive into a little bit of lyrics and themes. What do we have on lyrics and themes from this album?
So we have drugs and sex. And we might
In
be
the
able to
80s?
Yeah.
And rock and roll.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Who would
the
have
rock and
guessed?
roll was more just inherent, you sort of assumed, but yeah,
The others
drugs and
were not
sex.
assumed.
Yeah, yeah. But the song "Mr. Brownstone," I didn't know this, but that's a slang term for heroin. And I mean, that song in general is talking about like how he's got to keep on using more of it because his tolerance keeps going down. And yeah, and then Rocket Queen is I think it's something to do with sexual themes there. I could be wrong, but that one seemed pretty gratuitous. And then "Sweet Child of Mine" though was quite beautiful. I like those lyrics. They were a bit more subtle than "Rocket Queen."
Do you have any like specific ones from Sweet Child of Mine that really like stood out to you from this one? You don't have to. I just wondered if you did.
When he probably when he says, "Where do we go?" no, but where do we go? No, yeah,
Where do we go?
But I like she's got hair. It reminds me of "A Warm, Safe Place," where as a child would cry, pray for the thunder and rain to quietly pass me by. That's
sweet.
Was that really hit home? It was very, very beautifully put, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a more overt, both sexual album and more like
Giggity.
the dangerous side of rock and roll. Like we go from the heartland.
What exactly
like
is the safe side of rock and roll?
Bruce Springsteen? Like we
Fair
like
enough, fair enough.
we go from like heartland rock. Like this is like the America that exists, and it's like heart songs essentially. Like this is what's going on, and then you go into this, which is more like those inner desires or like more extreme stories. Like I think if you know what the original artwork for this looked like,
Ooh, yeah.
like the theme of Appetite for Destruction plays especially into that original album artwork, which I can pull up for us here.
Yeah, I think the title of the album suits it well. Like, there's not so much a condoning of the things they're doing as
I don't
much
know
as
if you
it's,
need to bring it up. People can
well,
look.
Okay.
but I think it's
pretty
a
sure there's a
neat
nipple on
way.
there that I don't want to see right now.
That's fair enough. But
Not right now.
I have that scheduled for a week from now.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Turn your
But
head,
no,
sir.
this idea of Appetite for Destruction is definitely like they're drawing on the idea of like the wants.
Yeah.
Is kind of the theme throughout. Like they're not holding back on anything that they want. They just want to say it real plainly, while doing it in a very in your face fashion, as many rock and roll songs can do.
Yeah.
Go for it. I thought we had something. Do we have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the title of Appetite for Destruction is them playing into the industry of like everything that's going on, the music industry. Like we're just putting out stuff, and the people are gonna take it, regardless of like the quality or the depth of it. And so the Appetite for Destruction was them. We're gonna feed that appetite with what we're creating.
That's really neat.
So if you look at the original album artwork, you can kind of see where that was headed. But obviously, we don't have that album artwork. We have the more safe
Subdued.
version.
They're robot scolds.
Yeah. Let's unless we have more on lyrics and things, let's move into the music itself. What kind of musicalities, musical nudities, things that stood out to us musically in this album that either make it great or make us question why it's on this list?
Well, it's hard to begin the conversation of musicality and not start with Slash.
Yeah.
I mean, he gives just an absolute masterclass in like theoretically sound. Is that
It is now.
Theoretically.
I like it.
theoretically sound guitar playing? Like, I mean, golly, the way that he's able to use different techniques, different scales, melodic ideas. I mean, if you're to ever learn guitar and you also don't want to take music theory, but you just want to learn from a song, boom. This album's for you.
Yeah.
He just, I think I read somewhere that somebody was really discounting the ability of this album to succeed.
Yeah.
That somebody had doubted them, and Slash was pissed. And I would imagine it had something
if I
to do
played
with
like Slash, I'd be a little mad too.
honestly. He said to Rolling Stone, I believe, who would have ever thought that the least likely to succeed would make it into the top 100 of the decade? Speaking of the top 100 of the 80s, according to Rolling Stone magazine. Now, this is an album that ranked 27th in their top 100 albums of the 80s. They're going up against artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, Elvis. Like, they are.
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen's number 6 on this list.
Oh, wow.
Who's number one?
Number one shocked me. Number one, like,
Sure.
REM's on this list.
Nice.
Michael Jackson's Thriller, Talking Heads is on here. The Joshua Tree is on here by U2.
That's sweet.
Number 1 is London Calling by The Clash.
Wow.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Interesting.
And I think it has to
Interessante.
do, and I would imagine, like, you guys talked about it before, the absolute gold mine that is the themes of the 70s being talked about in the 80s, or the themes of the 80s being sung about in the 80s. And this is the right, I've not heard this album before. Maybe some of the songs, as it's happened every time that I've heard more songs than I think I have on an album that we've listened to, because these songs are everywhere. But having no clue what's on this album, all it says is this album could not have come at a more perfect time or a more appropriate time. Released January 1980. They just said it took everything by storm. So
Imagine a Kendrick clapback in the 80s. What a time that would be. What a time that would be. I want to go in a little bit on Axl Rose's voice.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Surprisingly, I was surprised he didn't use as much range as he has on this specific album, but he is known for having a 5-octave range, which is the largest range that I've like specifically like searched and found. I'm sure there's other people with 5 octaves, but
David
like,
Bowie
I know,
has a big one.
He did.
Well,
have a
yeah,
big
but
one.
like I know, like for most
He's not
people,
alive
like
anymore.
the goal or like the
What?
not the goal.
Sorry, Jason.
Now he's got 0 octaves.
Too soon.
He's just deeper than he was.
I think,
I'm sure we were
Incredible.
offending somebody right now.
that was wow.
Sorry, all
Back to
20
octaves
listeners.
of living singers. The thinking of someone having a 4-octave range is like, oh my goodness, you have an incredibly large range, and to have 12 more notes, a part of what you are not just capable of singing, but can sing like on recording. Like most people's range goes beyond what they're recording comfortable with. But on this album specifically, he covered around 4 octaves of range just in this album. His lowest note, let me grab it again. His lowest note was in, I had it. Where'd it go? Come on back now. Come on.
In this
I'm
album or
coming
just
back
ever?
to you. No, just in this album. His lowest note in this
Where
album
do we go now?
was in, I don't know what song it was in. Oh, there it is. It's in Ain't Going Down. It was an E flat 2.
What
And his highest
this?
note.
Ugh.
So 1 is the lowest octave on the piano. So starting at A to B. Yeah. A to B on a piano is 1, and then 2 starts at C. Or is it starts at 0? No, it starts at 0 of A.
Starts at
And
0
then
of A.
The first C is 1. So the lowest C on your piano. He was starting at the
E flat above that.
E flat above the second C.
So the E flat. You said E flat 2, right?
So the
E flat
second
2.
lowest E flat.
So the second lowest E flat on the piano. And then his highest note was found in, I think it was in, Welcome to the Jungle. He hits a G sharp 5. But for the sake of like thinking of octaves, I want to go with A flat. So he's going from E flat 2 to A flat 5, which is, what is it, 4 and a quarter octaves? 4 to some?
Man.
So
Do we have the ability to
three and a
play
quarter.
that note out loud?
Oh, we have to somehow.
I can add it.
Somebody find it. All right, so this will be added in, but right here you're going to hear the span of these 2 notes.
Whoa.
That's pretty low.
Incredible.
That's pretty low.
Incredible. Low and
Unbelievable.
high. And high. Wait, you want a high note? Here's the
Yeah.
high
Yeah,
note.
go ahead and do it.
That's how high.
Jeez.
Dude, I couldn't
Most
even.
people
I
can't do
couldn't hear
that
that, but my
ever.
dog was.
A flat 2 or E flat 2 to A flat 5. G sharp
Man.
5, however you
That
wanna
is
look at it.
impressive.
That's crazy. I read
guess they're-
somewhere where like when he was in choir, I guess like in school or church or whatever, but when he was in choir, he's like naturally like a second baritone or whatever. But when he was in choir, he would make up voices and throw the choir person off. It was like, who's doing that? It was like, man, if you got all that time to practice, like it shows.
Yeah.
It shows on this album.
Which to think also like a middle of the road, good-ish soprano singer is going to kind of top at about a G5. And
Yeah.
so he's going a half note above. And for most of your like basses, I mean, E flat 2 is below comfortable. So he's singing the full gambit out here.
Yeah.
So I don't want to interrupt all of us praising him, but I just got to say Axl Rose as a person, excuse my language, but I just got to say it. He was a silly goose, and I don't care who
Whoa,
hears
now.
it. It's not. I know it's not PC. Say that, but
Pump the brakes, Beans. Holy cow.
yeah, because he.
You don't need to shout it.
He and my man Kurt Cobain
Oh yeah.
were gotten a tiff.
We
Yeah.
don't use the SGs on this podcast.
The what? The what?
Stop dropping SGs on this podcast.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. We'll bleep that out.
Elise
Or else I'll go to jail.
Uske. Elise Uske.
No, I mean I think if it applies anywhere, it's to Axl Rose. Yeah, but he's when Kurt Cobain. What are you laughing at?
Who's Star Wars?
Oh, I don't know. I
Perfectly timed.
yeah. We'll just cut that out and then put it over when I said silly goose. Oh,
Oh.
put it over again.
Elise.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he definitely knew he was talented and kind of just shit all over everybody.
He was incredibly talented.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I don't think I've seen some performances of him singing live later on in his career, and that kind of voice is hard to sustain in general.
Yeah.
into older age, but he, was doing drugs and totally wrecking like his vocal cords. So it didn't age very well.
Yeah, I would not suggest people sing the way he did, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
If you do, don't do drugs too. So
That doesn't help it.
just don't do both.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into music videos. Jared, do you have some stuff for us on this?
Oh, music videos. Yeah. So
music videos.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier. I think it was Daniel who said that someone didn't have faith in the band, and obviously that made Slash mad. So things got to a head where like this album was not selling well. So the first single or first two singles released for this were "It's So Easy" and "Mr. Brownstone." Which, if you listen to those, you're like, yeah, these are good songs. I don't know if I would put them as the lead single for this album and start the marketing for this album with those two, but it's what they went with. And so then I think that was like also in the summer. So like for the rest of the year, the album does not sell that well. And they're not getting like any promotion or marketing on MTV or like any of the major outlets. And so David Geffen, founder of Geffen Records, who they signed with, goes to MTV and is like, hey, you got to play this band. Like, I know they may not sell well, or what, I don't know what the negotiation was like, but he gets them this like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. slot on MTV for Welcome to the Jungle. And at first, MTV was like, no, we're not going to play this. But after talking with Geffen, they're like, fine, we'll give you this one slot. And it's the only time we're going to play this music video. So it goes like, I want to say somewhere like early January 1988, like months after the album's released, they play it early in the morning, and then the phone lines to MTV start lighting up, and people are calling in like requesting this video to be played again, and the band album explodes from there. So had Welcome to the Jungle not been played on MTV, the band probably would have like floundered out.
Yeah.
And 5 a.m. I'm just saying.
Yeah, what kind of scoundrels were up that
If
late?
you're picking Welcome to the Jungle for your 5 a.m. wake up call,
Yeah.
you're getting up. You ain't staying in bed. You ain't staying in bed. I promise you that.
Yeah. They did that on purpose because it was like, oh, no one's going to care about this music video, so let's put it during the time when no one's really going to be paying attention. And little did they know that people were paying attention.
Can you imagine waking up? You're gonna die.
Do you know where you are?
You're in the jungle,
baby. You know, the only way I could hear that as my alarm is if it was preceded by, "You're a villain, all right, just not a super one. What's the difference? Presentation."
Okay,
Nice.
Megamind.
Thank you, Guns N' Roses, for a wonderful kickoff entrance NC State has been using for years. So good.
Anytime I would listen through this album, anytime I got back to Welcome to the Jungle, I'm like, oh, where's a wall? I'm about to run through it.
Look out, Pink Floyd.
All right, let's get to it. Everyone's favorite part of the episode.
Oh
I
gosh.
think we've gone through a lot of highlights. I don't think we need to have a special time on highlights.
One quick note I will say is Duff's bass is so awesome. Like,
Yeah.
someone described it as Duff plays the bass like a lead guitar, and I think that's a fair statement.
That's fair.
Like,
I like that.
It's not just like playing the root note. It's melodic. It kind of matches the drums. It kind of matches what Slash is doing, and sometimes it just makes fills, and it's so good.
Incredible. All right, faves and least faves. Everyone's favorite portion, or least favorite portion, depends. Let's start on the negative. Let's start on the back end. Let's go with least fave first. And I really want to go with the one person that doesn't know how to put a cool name on their video here on Riverside. So Daniel, or should I say Daniel, to make it cooler, I guess.
You got it. You got it. That's what I was going for.
Daniel, what was your least favorite from this track listing?
My least favorite was, it was almost Paradise City. It's so long. It's good,
man.
but it's like an album by Dire Straits, man. It's just so long. But it's got to be Rocket Queen.
Interesting.
Wow.
I would get to the end of Rocket Queen, and it might have just been on the way that I was listening to this album. I don't know. But I get to the end of this song, and I'm like, all right, are we done yet? Are we done yet? And then, and I'm like, yeah, it was just always right before we get to the top of the album again, and I'm like, oh, well, there.
You almost sound like you're doing da 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 da.
You
Is
know,
that how this
would,
album started?
That would really,
I listened to the wrong album.
yeah.
Speaking
that
of
would
that,
track with my students' desire
Senior-
to call me a leprechaun.
Senior The Slush. What was yours?
It was almost Rocket Queen, but I've got to go with It's So Easy. It just like it got too repetitive and annoying.
Not easy enough for you?
No, it just that was really it. Like I'm
Just
glad
didn't
it
tickle
was
your fancy?
shorter, so I could get through it quicker.
There are
You
those.
rip it
songs
off like
out
a
there.
Band-Aid.
What Band-Aid did you have to rip off, being Junior? What was your least favorite? What really stung you in the wrong way?
It's so easy. I didn't care for that one either. I like when things are difficult, so I really didn't agree with the premise of the song.
Our lyrics and themes guy.
Yeah, nothing worth doing is easy. So, but yeah, I agree with Jarrett. It's not great.
So for me, and again, I think this is another one of these albums that I don't
Hey,
have like
Jason.
an immediate. What's up?
What was your least favorite?
Oh, thanks for asking, bro.
Jason, let me be the first to say, what was your least favorite?
Like
Jason, I know we've gotten off on tangents, but what is your least favorite and why?
And I just want to reiterate, what in terms of your least.
No,
like,
Steven, I
in
got
terms
this.
of
I got
what
this.
you
I got
didn't
this.
like.
Steven,
Okay,
Steven, I
all
got this. What was your least favorite?
So for me on this album, there was just it's one of those albums that I liked a lot of the songs. So it sort of came down to like what didn't stay, like what didn't stay with me, and the song that didn't stay is Anything Goes. So
Yeah.
and for anyone that figured out the pun I was intending there, nothing stays, but in this case, anything goes.
I see.
I just want to lay that out there for y'all that are
Yeah, it's
slower.
hilarious.
Yeah,
What was
slower
the
ones
what
in
was
the
the
comments.
what was the pun?
You're welcome.
What was the pun there?
That was my least favorite, but I'm gonna start us out. I'm gonna start us out with my favorite, and it's lame. I'm sorry, it's lame. I don't like to be this guy,
I assumed it would be.
but there's a time that it just rolls in, and I get Welcome to the Jungle once again. Yeah, and it just freaking gets me going. I'm just like Dan said, it comes on, and you're just looking for a wall to run through. I am like. They played it the other night at the Hurricanes, and my goodness, did I want to absolutely... I wanted to play. Put me in. Coach, I'm scoring. I don't care. I've never ice skated in my life. I'm scoring on freaking Igor Shesterkin. It's not... There ain't nothing stopping me when this song is on.
You just run out there and streak up. Like,
Dude, I'm just barefoot on ice.
Steal Svechnikov's stick, and you just one time.
I'm ready. One-timer. From the blue line.
Yeah,
No questions. 98 miles an hour off the stick.
it's the
Off the
NHL
rip.
equivalent of a no doubter.
No doubter. So let me lay it out like this. This is how I'm gonna lay it out for y'all. is anybody else's favorite song "Welcome to the Jungle"?
Oh, mine is.
Oh,
Mine is.
There's
Not
at least
even-
one. Was that two hands, or was that a?
Oh no,
It
yeah,
was.
it's not my
It was
favorite.
close,
Okay.
but it was my
Dan,
favorite.
so what was your favorite?
You know, it was really tough. It was between two, and it's two that you would think it would be between. It's "Welcome to the Jungle." Gosh,
Was
It's-
that tied with "Goodbye to the City"?
no.
Okay.
It took me a minute.
What
So
was
what
your-
track listing are you looking at?
It was
what was your second one?
"Sweet Child of Mine."
Okay. So we got two on "Welcome to the Jungle." Slush Man. What was yours?
Paradise City is what I'm going to go with.
Ooh.
Really?
And I will agree that it is kind of long. But I think if you get into all the intricacies of it, it's more enjoyable. It's not to the same degree as Dire Straits where it just keeps repeating. Like there are nuances where it changes tempo, the bass line changes and stuff like that. So it's not exactly the same. But I do see that it is super long.
Do you have a rebuttal, Daniel?
It was a honk shoe for me, man.
You're just making up words.
That's not a saying.
It was a honk shoe.
All right. Hit us with the top shot, Mr. Beans Jr. What we got?
It was between two. So my second favorite was My Michelle.
Well, we don't care about your second favorite, so
Yeah, and then my fourth favorite probably. No,
stop.
In-
I
in
care about
order.
this one.
In order.
I
There's
care about
12
it. Shh. I care about his fourth favorite. Which one was your fourth favorite?
probably.
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what topped your
fifth
chart
fa-
this week?
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite was Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
It's just objectively one of the most beautiful songs that I've heard. And a lot of people, it's very ubiquitous just in the culture. Everybody hears it. It's and it's apparently forbidden to be played in Guitar Center. So that's
It is.
how much it's in the culture. And by the way, that riff, I think Slash, they were rehearsing and Slash was just warming up, doing some sort of circus riff, and then it just evolved into that starting riff. So Sweet Child of Mine, it's just it's a perfect song.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right. I think that brings us to everyone's actual favorite time of the week.
I'm interested.
It's our album ranker. I think this one's going to be a dicey one. I think this is going to mix it up just a little bit. Maybe break some ties. Let's do a little quick reminder from last week. Top of the list is Abbey Road. And bottom of the list is ... Baby One More Time. Tied with Brothers in Arms. So, there's a lot in between. But let's begin with Daniel. Where is this album, Appetite for Destruction, in your personal list?
I am gonna place this, and actually, I'm changing what I had originally thought.
Oh,
I'm
snap.
putting this at number 5,
Okay.
above
below
Sgt.
Born
Pepper's
in the
Lonely Hearts
USA.
Club Band, and below Born in the USA.
Wonderful. So, 5, right in the middle, kind
Yeah.
of.
Almost.
9. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
the middle of
well,
9.
yeah.
Middle of 9.
Yeah.
All right. I want to go to Steven next. Steven, I'm looking at your list. You got Wall on top. You got Brothers in Arms at the bottom. Where does Appetite for Destruction fall for you?
Let's.
How hungry were you?
I was. I could eat.
You could eat?
So I'm gonna put this.
Like if I get fries for the table, are you gonna have some?
I'll have a few.
All right. Reference John Mulaney. We don't plagiarize. on
Not
here.
a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
John Mulaney is not sponsoring this yet.
I don't think he's got.
No matter
the
how
ability
much
to
we
sponsor
ask.
anyone. He has some sponsors.
Yeah. But in terms of what we were talking about. I'm going to put this at number 4.
Woo! Bumping down Dangerous. Still just behind Supernatural. I like it.
Yeah. And my distaste for Axl Rose did influence my decision.
That
I just want to get that out there.
fair enough.
That's
All right, Jart Slush Bear.
Decision.
What do we got? Where we
This
at?
is
top,
tough,
top
man.
of your list right now to remind the people. Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the number 1, and flip flopping from Steven down at the bottom is The Wall.
Ah, man. I think
Did this album make you want to run through the wall? What? How does this land?
I think
Where does
I'm
it
going
land
to
for you?
agree with Steven and play this at number 4 for me.
Trying to get back in my good graces after the whole wall debacle.
I mean, that was episodes ago, man. We're different men now. We've moved past it.
I hold a grudge.
Well,
And I will take my revenge someday when you least suspect it.
So,
Jason, where does this album rank for you?
all right, sorry, I was going to let y'all go. I figured y'all were going to go like the last time.
Jason,
I'm
where are
having
you
a
gonna put it?
dilemma. Hey, can you stop? Cool. So, I'm having a dilemma. It's the battle of the guitarists right now for me.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Do I want to overtake Supernatural?
Interesting.
I'm at least at 4,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to bump it down. I think we're going number 3 for me. Right below Abbey Road, above Supernatural. Appetite for Destruction. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't
Look at
think I was
that.
going to. But, man, I kind of feel bad for myself now. I feel like I shouldn't have done it. We'll come back next week.
You have a lot of
and we'll
You want to
see.
change? I
yourself.
mean, you are able to change it. This
We'll
one.
see
time.
what we do. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to leave it. I'm gonna get. Can I get a 1-week grace period? If next week I say, we'll flip it back.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
man,
If it's after it, I'm not moving it later. I
Yeah.
got 1 week.
man,
Yeah.
I was really thinking before, like, this may go below Dangerous, and then as I kept listening to it, it's gotten up there. This almost was number 3 for me as well, but I think 4
It was
4 is
close.
good.
It was close to my number 4, but yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So,
so-
we have.
Yeah. What do we got,
You
Jason?
want to go bottom up?
Yeah. Go bottom up.
All right, bottom up. Number 8, still tied at 8. Didn't bump that around at all. Is a tie between Brothers in Arms and ... Baby One More Time, or as some would say, Ellipses. Then, rock and rollin' at 7, we have Dangerous. At number 6, we have The Wall. At number 5, we have Born in the USA. Number 4, now new on the list, number 4, consensus 4, is Appetite for Destruction. Do we have a 3? No, we just have Tied for 2. Tied for 2 is
Wow.
still Supernatural and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I think that was still our tie last week.
Yep.
Double check
Yep.
me on that. And then top in the list is still Abbey Road. What an album. What a time to be alive.
Do you guys think, like, not what album, but do you think any album will either one place below your current lowest or take your number 1?
Let me look at the list. Let me look at what's coming up.
I'm sure there's worse albums than Brothers in Arms.
Looking ahead,
The Wall.
I can see 1, maybe 2 that would take over my number 1. I'm not sure about my bottom.
I'm seeing one that might for me.
I
will let it happen.
I'm the reverse. I feel like I don't know if anyone's going to take the top for me with Abbey Road, but I could see stuff being worse than The Wall for me.
I think
It'd be weird for something to
see
take
something
your top
overtake.
of Abbey Road because it's not your top.
Sergeant Pepper. Yeah.
I think I could see somebody overtaking number 1 for me. I just don't know where.
I was looking at Daniel's list.
I'm not against it if you base your judgment off of my list.
I like it. I like it. Well, if you want to come back next time, I want to say next week, but we do this every 2 weeks. If you want to come back next time, our next album is Let's Talk About Love by Celine Dion. So we're switching up a little bit with our stylistic choices.
stoked.
We've had a lot of rock. So let's get some smooth. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about love,
Celine,
baby.
let's talk about love.
Watch us be wrong and it's all heavy metal.
What is
Celine Dion could
Dion
surprise
album?
me.
What,
We'll see.
What Celine Dion album doesn't have heavy metal? Jared, come on.
And besides Forgetting Not Slow Down, is this going to be our most recent album?
I think
97?
No, because
No,
Baby One More Time was 99.
yeah, and
Oh,
Supernatural.
yeah.
They were both
Okay.
99.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
But
it's up
we've
there.
been-
It's newer. It's newer.
It's the year
Yeah.
we were born, other than Jason.
Yeah. We've been
What?
in the 80s the last 3 albums?
Wait,
When
which
was Born-
album? Wait,
when
whoa,
was
whoa, whoa.
Brothers in
Which
Arms?
album did you say was when you were born?
Let's talk about love.
Oh, sorry. I thought we
Yeah.
were still talking about the 2 that were in 99. I was like, no, I'm the
No.
only one in 99. Prince knows. Prince knows my pains.
Also not a sponsor.
Beans.
Also not a sponsor.
Beans, I want to apologize because I feel like every week. Well, I'll let you.
Okay. Well, I just want to send a message to Axl Rose. You stay away from